If I said picture Florida in the summertime, what comes to mind? Maybe scantily clad, attractive females with possibly plastic body parts on South Beach. Maybe some wild story from the news about a guy getting his arm bitten off by an alligator. Maybe you just think of the oppressive heat.
Then I thought somebody was barbecuing.
But what I think about when I think of Florida in the summertime is spillways. If you don't know what a spillway is, it looks a little bit like this. These little man-made waterfalls, though cool looking, harbor a secret below their depths. Fish that look something like this. That crazy looking critter is called a snook, and a big one goes for over 40 inches and will give you the fight of your life. I happen to love these fish, and I love fishing for them at spillways. The problem was I didn't have the right gear in my arsenal to accommodate these crazy creatures. That is until about 2 days ago, when I purchased a DAIWA SALTIST MQ, and it may just be the very best saltwater inshore reel on the market. We're going to test it, we're going to unbox it, we're going to review it, and I'm going to show you how it does at the spillway versus the mighty Snook. And then you can decide, is it the best inshore spinning reel for saltwater known to man? Let's unbox it. All right, so full disclosure here. I always find it weird in the unboxing videos when you literally see somebody take it out of the box. Like, we all know what it looks like to open a box up, take some packaging and set it off to the side. It just seems a little bit unnecessary. So I'm not gonna do that. What I am gonna do is have a slight drum roll before I present what's in my hand here. Drum roll, please. And bam. Hello, Scarlett Johansson of inshore spinning reels. I give you the DAIWA SALTIST MQ. First impressions, it ain't ugly, I tell you that right now. Looking in close here, we have an electric blue accent color. We have a gunmetal color for the main body of the reel with some chrome accents. It is so sexy, I love it. That was part of the reason I bought it. We've had the discussion on this channel before. If you like the look of your equipment, you're more confident in your equipment, the more confident, the more fish you catch. If you don't believe me, just ask Kevin Van Dam. So to begin with, that was part of the reason for this purchase. The other reason for this purchase was to meet a very specific criteria. I needed something that's durable enough for 40+ inch snook, but something that's light enough that I could cast artificial lures all day long. Here's your guy right here. Now, to compare it to some of its peers, we have reels like the Penn Slammer. The Penn Slammer is a phenomenal reel. I own one, but it's heavy. It's all aluminum. Everything is aluminum, and it's big and it's beefy. That 5500 series weighs a lot more than this 5000 series that I have in my hand. The other end of the spectrum is a reel like the Shimano Stratic. Now, that reel, though very smooth and very light, is not really beefy enough for the application or the rod I'm trying to use with this reel. This guy is right in the middle. It's a very strong construction, as you'll see, but it's light enough in the right places that you can fish artificials all day long. That's why I went with this guy. All right, to begin with, before we kind of look this guy over and see what we think of it before using it on the water, let's go over some of the features that drew me to this initially. Number one is this cool handle. It's a big power knob handle. Reason that's important, it's easy to find and it creates something strong for me to hang on to when I'm cranking down on a big snook. When we're fishing spillways, again, it's hand-to-hand combat. So I need something I can find quickly when they hit it like a ton of bricks and I can crank down on them. Number two, MQ. What does that stand for? On a lot of these videos, which I watched before making this purchase, I've heard it called monocoque and I've heard it called monocoque. So I think a lot of people just don't want to say it, but DAIWA videos on this reel call it monocoque, so that's what we're going to call it. Sounds kind of dirty. Anywho, monocoque is the body design. So traditionally, the side of a reel has what's called a side plate. It gets screwed onto the side and it covers up all the internals, the gears. This does not have a side plate. It has this feature right here. That's a little plate that is screwed directly into it because it is threaded. No added screws, but this piece is threaded. There's actually no way to get that off without sending it to DAIWA. Now, I'm somebody that doesn't do much maintenance on their reels myself, so if I need something done, I'm probably going to send it to them anyway. But that prevents water intrusion, and it also prevents flex in the main body of the reel. Anytime I have multiple pieces, more flex, less pieces, less flex. That's kind of the idea. Next, we have their bail design here. It's a hollow bail. If you just tap on it, you can feel it. It's hollow. It's a little bit lighter. What that does, it creates a little bit less weight up top. When I crank the handle, it's a little bit easier, a little bit less that has to turn, and it's easier, again, to reel in artificial lures. The next feature is the rotor. Now, if you don't know what a rotor is, it's the part when I crank it that spins around the spool. It's this piece right here. This is called the Zion rotor. Now, Zion just refers to the material it's made out of. It's a composite material with a high carbon content. Some of my Shimano guys remember the CI4 Plus material, kind of the same idea. It's a very dense, very strong material, and it doesn't flex, but it's far lighter than even an aluminum rotor on top. What does that mean? When we start reeling down on a fish or a lure or whatever, when I'm turning the handle, we have startup inertia. That's simply put the initial burst of energy I have to give it to get that thing turning. The less weight, the less startup inertia. So because this is lighter, it's really, really easy to turn, especially, again, compared to reels like the Penn Slammer, which it's kind of like a coffee grinder. So that feature was important as well. Beyond that, it's got enough heft to it that I feel like it's strong enough for a big fish, but it's just light enough where I feel like I can cast it like crazy and not have any issues. So those are some of the main features that drew me to this reel, and again, its cool appearance. Now, though I haven't thrown line on this guy, let alone any lures around yet, there are some things that I can see that maybe I'm not so impressed with about this reel. Not very many, but just a couple things. Number one, when I'm paying somewhere between $270 and $330, depending where you buy it, I want extremely high tolerances. And it has those, for sure. You can feel it. Very solid, very smooth. Everything feels tight, with one exception. If I'm looking at my handle knob and where it connects to the actual handle itself, there's some play. Okay, I can feel it back and forth. It's more annoying than anything else, but that's where I'm grabbing the reel to reel all the time, all day long. It's going to make that click. I'm going to feel it. The more added things I feel, the less sensitivity I have to whatever my lure is doing. So that's a minor thing, but I'm not super happy with that. The second thing is right here, our drag adjustment knob. It's kind of like they designed the whole thing and then they looked at the top and just said, just throw something on there. There wasn't a lot of effort, there was no design, and it just feels kind of cheap. It's a thin plastic, it's definitely not that Zion material. It seems like an area that they tried to save a little bit of money on the reel. Again, for the price point, put something premium on there. All their other reels seem to have something that really looks and feels premium on the reel. So not a big thing, but something I would have liked to see a little bit different. The last thing I'm not super happy about is we talked about water intrusion. And the monocoque design prevents that. But they added this rash guard at the bottom. It's cool. It's meant to prevent any damage to the reel. But the problem is it's screwed in. It's screwed in here and it's screwed in here. What does that mean? It could be an opportunity for water to intrude. And in fact, doing some research, I've heard that if you remove that, you can see some path to the inside of the reel. I'm not sure water's going to be able to get in there, but maybe it could. So that's something that makes me slightly nervous. Aside from that, I got no complaints out of the box. It's smooth, it's lightweight for its size, the tolerances are quite high with just minor exceptions, and again, the look is awesome. I love the way it looks. We've covered a lot thus far. Some of the features, its Scarlett Johansson-like looks, some of the things I'm a little iffy about straight out of the box, but it's a fishing reel. It's meant to be fished with. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this on a rod, we're gonna take it to the spillway and see if we can hook into a big old snook. Let's take her for a test drive, shall we? Oh yeah. at the last second. Not a bad one. We'll take that all day. First fish on the new DAIWA Saltist. It wasn't a snook, but it was a good bass. Sitting right up there. I think I saw him the other day. Nice. Hadn't caught anything yet. Now we got one. All right, so we got our first fish on the DAIWA Saltist MQ-5000. We're here at the Spillway. As you just saw, we pulled in pretty good sized bass. Not huge, but I'd say somewhere around 3. I actually was out here fishing, I think a week ago, and I'm quite sure I saw that fish trailing it because it was in the same spot. It was kind of the same cast, and it sure looked like the same fish. So that was cool. Wasn't a snook yet. Wasn't a big snook. Wasn't a snook at all. But we're going to keep fishing, and we're going to hook into one of those soon. I hope. We got to give this guy a real test against a really big fish. It wasn't a target species, but it was fun to catch. I'm a bass guy all the way around, so getting a good one like that, we'll take it. Here on No Redemption Wild Kingdom, over here, that's a raccoon. I don't know what he's doing over there up on the fence. Oh, there he is. What's up, little dude? You hear me talking, he came out. So we got land, and then over here in the water, those are manatees that are coming up. They like this vegetation that gets pulled over the spillway, and I guess they eat it. All you see is their little noses sticking out there. There's one. There's a few of them out here. We got him. We got him. Woo! Yes. Oh my goodness. We had to work for this guy. All right, y'all. We did it. That's on the new DAIWA Saltist 5000. That's a good snook. That pulled a hell of a fight. We got a good hook in him. He was pulling drag. That reel did fantastic. We're gonna get an approximate measurement here in just a second, but that's what spillway fishing is about, and that's why we need the serious gear. The heavy rod, the heavy reel there with some good drag. That was very, very cool. This is the best one I've gotten in a while. He's healthy, he's big, and he fought like a tank. That was cool. All right, we're gonna get some measurements. We'll check this out. If we're gonna put this guy back, got an approximate measurement. He's in the water. He's got a little sand on him, but he's all right. I'm gonna let him sit here for a second, get comfortable. And there he swims. All right, let's recap that experience. That was pretty darn cool. So this first big fish I've gotten in a while at the spillway, the lack of rain has meant that there wasn't much opportunity, but we've had a lot of rain lately, and that's what happens after the rain. We get a lot of current through there. They wait on the downside, and it's like the buffet line, bringing the bait to them, and that's when they strike just like that. And that was instantly, we knew we were hooked up, gave him a good hook set, and he fought like crazy. But you can see why you need the tougher gear. This rod, this is a St. Croix Mojo inshore. It's a 7.6, it's a long one, it's a medium heavy. but it's a really, really rigid medium heavy. Lots of backbone, and it's relatively heavy as well, kind of a weight forward rod. You need that to get them out of there. If you could see well on the GoPro footage, I wasn't playing them that much. I was dragging them out. That's because you have no idea what's down there at the base of that dam. There could be debris, there's rocks, all kinds of stuff, and if you let them get in there, you're gonna lose your fish. In fact, our leader here is 50-pound mono leader. Mono, I've had the best results in terms of abrasion resistance. Also, it will stretch a little bit, which can be good, kind of a shock absorber. And 50-pound is the lightest I would go. I've done 30 before, and those fish are so strong, and they got sharp gill plates, and they'll just destroy it. So that's what it took. In terms of the bait, this is a DAIWA bait buster. The stupidest looking lure in the world. I don't know if it's supposed to look like a mullet or what. It looks goofy, but this thing works, as you saw. This happens to be the shallow running version. The way I fish it is I cast it out there, and I'll pull it, kind of drag it through the water column. It stays right below the surface, and then I'll reel in my slack. Then it kind of falls a little bit. Pull it, reel in the slack. And just like that, it's almost like a soft plastic jerk bait, except worked much slower. That seems to be the retrieve that gets it done. In terms of the reel, we've talked about it quite a bit so far, but that was the first real test of it, and it did perfect. This is, again, the DAIWA SALTIST MQ, the 5000 version. Drag was great. The smoothness, it cast fantastic, and it held up so well on that big fish. I had to tighten the drag down a couple times on him because he was making some long runs, and it did fine on that. It was great. So overall, if I got to give a rating on this, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, A+. I have zero complaints with this reel. It was very, very cool. There you have it, guys. That's the product review of the DAIWA SALTIST MQ, the 5000 series. I recommend it. Anybody inshore, especially a spillway fisherman, this is going to be a great reel for you. I'm Coach Nick, representing No Redemption Outdoors. Over and out.